We're live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play alongside Jaren Jordan. I'm Spencer Linton. It's gonna be May 1st.
Yes, it is.
Yes, indeed. Joining us now is another NSYNC fan. He's also a former BYU NFL linebacker, David Nixon. David, tell me you're a Justin Timberlake and NSYNC fan, especially on May 1st.
Tell me why. Backstreet Boys?
I mean, maybe like 20 years ago. I don't like to admit it, but yes, I liked their music back then.
We all liked it when we were alone. Back in the, you know what I mean?
I liked it publicly. I went to the concert.
Yeah.
I'm not no shame.
Yeah, I went to a Backstreet Boys concert last summer. It's like one of the best I've ever been to. It was so fun.
Spencer for sure had his bleached tips going
100%.
When he went to the concert.
100%.
He was rocking them for sure.
Yes, yes. In a stadium of 35,000 where 95% were high school girls and I was a high school boy. Come on.
Yes.
Listen,
Come on.
when you're in high school, that is a gold mine.
All right, David. We're trying to figure out which of the BYU players found their gold mine in the NFL. Of the 3 draft picks, which do you like the best or as the best fit to their team?
Man, when you start to dive into it, we start off with Jaren, right? Kind of the quarterback. They always get all the news on them. I like this match with Kevin O'Connell, the head coach for the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell, obviously former San Diego State quarterback. I played against him back in my day. And something that's interesting about Kevin O'Connell, if you go back and look at his career, in 2007, he led his team in rushing yards. I think he ended up second in San Diego State history for most rushing touchdowns. So this is a guy who obviously had a great arm, but he likes to get out of the pocket and run the ball a little bit. Obviously, he doesn't currently have that with his quarterback situation, so he's looking for maybe to switch it up and bring in a guy like Jaren Hall. Because you look around the league and you see what the league is doing with mobile quarterbacks. You look at what happened with Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, et cetera. I think he looks at Jaren Hall as maybe a little bit of a project that he could switch things up in his offense and go back to his own personal roots, which is him being a rushing type quarterback. So I like that fit. I like Puka Nacua, honestly. You look at the Rams and you look at their wide receiver core. Obviously, Cooper Kupp, big time receiver, big time contract. But besides that, there's not too many notable names on there that you're going to be fighting against that are big money. And that's typically what you look at. You look at guys that are have long contracts with big money where the GM and the ownership has to play that player because they paid him so much money. But in this situation, I think he has a chance to fit right in and maybe take a starting spot. And that's the other thing, too, with all these different positions. There's so much to be played out from here. Injuries happen all the time. And next thing you know, you move your way up on that depth chart. It comes season time, there's some attrition, as we know, in football. And next thing you know, you're thrust in the spotlight. You make a name for yourself, a la Austin Collie. You go out there and ball out, and next thing you know, you're into a starting role and get a big contract a couple of years later. So I like his situation. Obviously, Freeland, and LaChance, both to Indianapolis. We'll see how that all plays out. We'll see what happens with D'Angelo Mendel. I was talking to his agent over the weekend, who was my agent at the time, and we were texting back and forth, and they're really excited about his opportunities with the Cowboys. They felt like the Cowboys came after him pretty hard. They wanted him pretty bad. And so they're excited to see how that all plays out. So we'll see. I mean, listen, we have was it 7 guys that made spots on a team, but Peyton Wilgar's another guy who's getting invited to some mini camps. So there's going to be some opportunities there. Hopefully somebody eventually signs him. So they're definitely not done. The dust is not settled quite yet, but so far, great haul for BYU.
Who's most likely to be the Taysom Hill, Daniel Sorensen, Michael Davis, undrafted free agent that sticks in the NFL, in your opinion, among those 4 dudes?
I mean, here's the thing. Quarterback's so tough, right? Quarterback position is tough because there's only one guy in the field. I like Puka's situation. I really do. I just talked about it a second ago. But I think his work ethic and something that McVay, I think, values greatly in his guys is a guy like Puka Nacua that's going to come there and work his butt off. And like I said, you look at the other receivers that are there currently, I don't think of them are too flashy or anything that Puka can't go out there and kind of beat them out in their own spot. So I like his spot. I think he has a chance to have some staying power there in Los Angeles and have a nice, long career with the Rams. But we'll see. I mean, that's, like I said, there's so much that goes into this. Hopefully he stays healthy. That's the name of the game for these rookies. There's a saying that you can't make the squad in the training room, right? You've got to be on the field, and so these guys got to make sure they keep their bodies healthy because if you get hurt as a rookie, it's tough. Typically, you kind of get washed out of the system, and it's tough to get back in. And so you've got to be healthy and hopefully try to make a run.
Okay, among those 4 undrafted free agents, who's most likely to stick, in your opinion, among Chris Brooks to the Dolphins, Caleb Hayes to the Jaguars, D'Angelo Mandel to the Cowboys, and Harris LaChance to the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, I love Harris LaChance's game. I think him being right there along with Freeland, hopefully they'll be able to kind of study with each other and keep each other sharp in the game. Hearing the feedback about D'Lo, I like D'Lo's chances. I mean, the Cowboys looking at their defense and what they like to do, a lot of man on the outside, and that's exactly what that fits into D'Lo's game as well. So, but Caleb Hayes, what a pro day. We talked about his pro day, a month or so ago. He had a fantastic pro day. I think that's why the Jaguars didn't call it. So,
for sure.
Hopefully he can stick. And then, of course, Chris Brooks. I mean, the guy's a beast. He had a great pro day as well. Can become like a bruiser back and learn to kind of run more north and south and deliver some punishing blows. We'll see how it plays out for him as well.
David Nixon, former BYU and NFL linebacker, is with us on BYU Sports Nation. I almost hate to turn the page to Cody Epps because the NFL draft typically just dominates headlines, at least for a few days. But with the news that Epps has entered the transfer portal, BYU's wide receiver core is now very much in a state of flux and a little bit of scramble mode. What was your reaction to Cody Epps entering the transfer portal on the final day he could do so without having to incur a sit-out-of-season penalty?
Frustration. That was probably the first thing that came to mind. But then quickly my mind just turned to, hey, next guy up. I mean, there's not much you can do about it. That's his decision. He can do whatever he wants. He can move on. And I think BYU, as you guys alluded to earlier in the show, they did all they could with the collective trying to get him taken care of. And obviously it wasn't enough, he felt like, until he's going to go test the waters. So it is frustrating. I think the fact that BYU, and I'm going back to the draft a little bit, the fact that BYU had 3 drafted players in the top of the 5 rounds, which hasn't been done since 2002.
Yeah, I
think that's something you can now take to all these other guys that are in the transfer portal that are looking to transfer and say, listen, come to BYU. We'll get you drafted. I mean, we're year in and year out, we're putting guys in the draft. 2001 or 2021, but Dak's year had 5 guys drafted that year, and so this is something that BYU's building. Something there's some momentum going here. You head into the Big 12, you're going to get more exposure, and so I think that's the recruit now, or the pitch to these potential recruits, the guys that are in the transfer portal, is come to BYU. We'll get you drafted. Cody Epps left a vacant spot, so here's a chance to come on in and have them into production. So I think there's a way to use the draft to kind of play off this Cody Epps and use it as a pitch to these kids that are still looking for a home.
Now, certainly at receiver, it's a big blow because BYU had 3 good ones, they felt like, in Chase Roberts and Keanu Hill and Cody Epps. Cody's out. It's not that BYU doesn't have talent behind him. It's just unproven and young at this point because you got a guy like Devin Downing coming off kind of the gray shirt year last year. He was with Chase Roberts in high school. He was awesome. You got Parker Kingston, who could play into the mix. You got JoJo Phillips from Sierra Canyon. Shout out to Bronny and LeBron.
And Dom Henry
from Florida. You've got some good talent. They just haven't played yet. How many dudes does BYU need to get in the portal that are ready to go in the first year of the Big 12?
Yeah, to your point, that's a tough thing. Is we know what Cody Epps could do, right? And it is totally different from guys, even JUCO guys coming in that have played at the JUCO level. It takes some time for them to get used to the speed of the game at the D1 level. And so, yeah, it's hard because Cody's been there, done that, even though he got injured. And now you have to get other guys to come in and get them caught up to speed and get them some live reps so they get used to the live game speed. So I don't know what the number is. Obviously, they're targeting, I'm guessing probably 3, 4, or 5 guys to bring in. They're looking for the best guys out there. I 100% trust Betsy Satake to make the right move and attract the right guys to come in. But it's going to be tough to fill those shoes. No doubt, no question about it. I mean, you mentioned, you rattled off some of the receivers. Keep in mind, Isaac Rex is back. BYU's got a good tight end room as well that they've developed some young guys. And so I think they'll be fine. I don't think the sky's falling by any means, but it definitely hurt. There's no question about it. When I heard the news, it was a gut punch and something you don't want to see. And this is the bummer about the transfer portal. But listen, BYU's been the recipient of some great transfers that come in this year in particular. So as you guys alluded to, that the transfer portal taketh and it giveth. So we'll see what it giveth here in the next couple of days. I would guess maybe the next week or so, we'll start to hear some other names that start to fall into place.
All right, Dave, we'll finish with this. How does BYU, moving forward, navigate the transfer portal with NIL and so much tampering going on? What's the key?
Well, listen, I've talked to some of the guys at the collective. They're working hard. Those guys are trying to get the money raised, and they're trying to take care of the players. They're working closely with the rest of the administration to make sure that they're on top of their game. As we know, the collective was one of the first ones that was put together across the country, and so BYU is very proactive in this approach. But I also know that they're doing it the right way. There's not tampering. There's nothing of that sort going on, and so they're doing it the right way, which I know can be frustrating because maybe there's other things that aren't going the right way that could be frustrating. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I think BYU's doing like they're doing what they need to do, and I think it'll pay dividends. I think like I said, it already has paid dividends. I think BYU will land a couple big names here before it's all said and done.
Great stuff, David. Always nice to talk with you. I'm searching for Justin Timberlake's next concert tour sites. So when I locate that, I'll let you know. We can take the wives and do a whole concert.
Or just us
thing.
three, like whatever.
We'll take Blaine and Dave too. Why not? Make it
Blaine would be there. I don't know about Dave, but Blaine would be there. Yeah.
David, thanks for the time, man.
Blaine would be there singing along.
Oh yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Oh, he's David Nixon.
All right, thanks, guys.
You got it.